All right. Welcome to the Last Bolt podcast. My guest, Patrick Tannous. Dude, I'm super excited today. Tiesta Tea. We're going to get into it, the origin story. I always start off with, like, it's important, like, where you grew up, you know, more about you and the fam, because it always kind of gives a story of, like, in context of how it shapes your story in entrepreneurship. So that's where we got to start.
Yeah, so it's kind of I'd say a semi-underdog story with a lot of I had a lot of opportunity because of my family. My father moved here in 1985, and unlike from Egypt, and unlike most immigrants, he had a limo waiting for him when he came here because he was recruited from Honeywell to come from Egypt to.
So he was an engineer?
He was a chemical engineer. He got his PhD, and when he was presenting his thesis, someone noticed him, and they said, "Hey, we'd like you to come over here." So
Get this guy out.
so fortunate to have that behind, in our family. And so success was always really important to my family, to my dad, reading, going to school, getting good grades, and I never did. When I did go to school, I could never live up to his standards. He had 5 patents by the time I was like 12 years old. He invented something that helps with brakes in your car. And every time I'd go to his basement, his office, he'd say, "Show me his patent," and he'd talk about it. And so success was always something that he drove into our family. And unfortunately, I never was able to succeed in my early days. I was not a good student. I look back at some of the comments from my report cards, and what the teacher says, it puts a chip on your shoulder.
Yeah.
And so I started working at Chili's when I was 16 years old. It was my first job. And I was in college, and I wasn't getting good grades in college. And so I ended up having to my counselor told me that I had to withdraw from school, otherwise I'd get kicked out.
Mm-hmm.
So coming from that, having a parent, my father, who was always driving success and putting that, you have to be successful. And a lot of people know from Middle Eastern families, lawyers and doctors are like what they want you to be.
That's what my wife, it's always got, school. And it's almost, you could be the most successful entrepreneur. It's like, yeah, but you didn't go to law school, dude. You're not a doctor. But before we dive in there, okay, so your dad comes over, and I want to comment also and double click on, I was the same way. My mom used to, I think it's a Midwest thing too, but my mom saved every report card, all the things, and I have all these marks of, like, too talkative, too disruptive, always clowning. And because, like, I had mad ADD, I just, like, couldn't concentrate. But it's a common personality trait, especially as entrepreneurs, is like, dude, it's not always the path, right? So your dad's the book smart guy, but so I think it's important. Growing up in Chicago, in the suburbs, was that where he, in the family, in 85, was it?
So 85 we came to New York.
Okay, New York.
Moved to Alabama when I was 2 years old, and then Chicago when I was 4 years old.
Okay.
So grew up in Arlington Heights my entire life. My dad still lives there.
Yeah. Shout out to AH.
Action Heights.
Exactly. All right. So, and siblings?
One big brother, one little brother.
Right. Right.
My big brother's only, it's like we're 368 days apart. So
God bless your mom. So talk to me about just, like, growing up though, because, like, I listen, I'm adopted, but I went to a Catholic, up until basically middle school. Dude, it was white Catholic. So there was nobody, Arlington Heights was not very diverse back in the day. So even for Middle Eastern, was it diverse at all, or no? It was like,
it's an interesting question,
but it's important.
I don't have any. The majority of my friends I was the only non-white guy.
Yeah.
Every one of my friends are, Ryan, Brian, Chris,
Michael.
Right? Exactly. And that's pretty rare, I'd say, for Middle Eastern. But that was my area, and I'm so lucky that my friends didn't see color.
Now,
I didn't know when I was growing up that I was different, and a lot of it's because my friends never treated me different.
Mm-hmm.
I've got these 3 guys, Chris and Dane Beatty, and Ryan Zawacki. They're my first best friends, and they kind of introduced my families to the American life.
Mm.
Their parents helped Americanize my parents.
Okay.
And we all became really good friends and still are to this day.
Right.
And they didn't know that I was different, running from a unique background. And I think that helped me feel like I belonged.
Mm-hmm.
And even though I didn't get good grades in school, I was so lucky just to have so many great friends around me. You know, like what you kind of said, I went to church a lot. The Catholic community was just embraced us, and I was just so fortunate to be surrounded by so many good people.
Same house
today.
or same, like, did you move around when you had
No,
moved?
man, I stayed in the same house.
How Midwest is that? We were in the same house from 4 to maybe when my sister graduated, so like maybe to 24, we had the same house, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
But you have the same, and then nobody would move from our, you know, cul-de-sac and our block, and all the kids I grew up with, same, you know, best friends still. Most of them went to Loyola because I caddied, but that's a side story. But all the kids I grew up with, you know, same. Like no one really moves, you know, good and bad. But okay, so that and I always think that's a great. It's always a stable, safe environment. That the only downside to Chicago, I hope to bring more of it, is just to take a little more risk because it's safe. Nothing happens, especially in the suburbs. The community does not change, but everyone's so nice and you feel welcome always, right? So, okay, well, let's fast forward a little bit to the story that you were telling. So your counselor's like, hey, dude, you kind of got to withdraw. I don't even want to talk about that day, probably telling your parents, maybe they knew or maybe not, but like, you're like, yeah, I'm going to have to, what do I do? Right?
So, yeah, I told my parents that I had to withdraw, otherwise I'd get kicked out, and that would ruin, you know, it was at that point I was going into my,
You were
I
commuting?
was a senior. Yeah.
Okay.
No, I was living in Logan Square.
You were living in Logan
My
Square.
brother and 2 of our buddies.
Okay. And then, and sorry to just 16, you start working at Chili's, and we'll talk about how we met. But you are still working at the time, or are you at school and just kind of.
So I went, during Chili's, my time at Chili's, I was inspired to try and study abroad because school sucked. And I never really got the college experience living at UIC.
Yeah.
It was really brutal to see my friends at IU and U of I, and Iowa, and all. And I'm over here like living in Logan Square as a 19-year-old with my fake ID, can never use it because you're in downtown Chicago. And so I was inspired to study abroad to try and get out of Chicago and see what else was out there. And I was diagnosed with ADHD. They prescribed me a ton of medicine.
Yeah.
I didn't take that shit.
I was the same thing. I actually got prescribed when I was in 5th grade.
Dude, that's
And
ridiculous.
my mom was like,
That's ridiculous.
you know, it was Ritalin back then, you know? And I was like, Mom, she's like, why aren't you taking your meds? I'm like, it makes me feel weird, dude. I'm already ADD. It makes me more ADD, dude. So I just stopped taking it, you know? But yeah, similar thing. It's like, you know, and that's the downside of America, which is not from, you know, my wife's Middle Eastern. You know, you brought, like, don't use medicine. Like, use organic. Like,
It's not the.
it's not always that's not always the go-to. The answer is just take some medicine and it'll go away. But you get diagnosed and you're like, okay.
I get diagnosed. I stopped taking my. I never took it. I took it one day, and the reason I knew I couldn't take it anymore is because I spoke French, and I studied French because my family.
Yeah.
Because we have in Egypt, you either go to America or you go to Canada, and so all my family went to Canada. They speak French. So in order for me to communicate with them, I had to learn French.
Okay.
And so I studied French for, that was my only thing I did good at in school. And now I speak French today.
Yeah.
Which is cool to say, especially when I was getting C's and D's and F's.
Yeah.
I speak French. But I took my Adderall the first time and I was in French class. I couldn't talk.
Oh, really?
I just could not talk. I could not, like, I used to be the guy that when they would talk in front and, you know, she'd ask questions, I'd be the guy. The only class I'd ever do it. And so I got diagnosed with Adderall. I realized that shit wasn't good and I wanted to learn French and I wanted to take it to the next level.
Yeah.
So I was inspired to get the hell out of here and I wanted to go to Paris, in France.
Paris.
I did. And the goal was to, I want to say, just kind of find myself and, you know, really just get out of the common place of society. With you go to school, you gotta get good grades, and it's like, all right, let me go explore the world. Very fortunate to have parents who can support that. You know, I think
Well, had you been back to Egypt, or have you traveled before that time, like abroad, or
we
no?
used to go to Egypt every other year for a month.
Right.
Yeah, every summer. I mean, I'd stay with my grandparents, so I speak Arabic as well.
Yeah.
So I was always traveling, and I love traveling. Like,
Oh, it's the only, travel and food are my make as much money for my family first, but also experiences are everything. Food and travel. I mean I got started because I've been to tons of countries. I love and it also gives you a it's humbling because the places. I mean, I was just telling you I was in Egypt in the wintertime, but like I've been to India. I've been to places that it reminds me. America's a weird place. You know, we're a very fortunate place, and so it gives you that sort of perspective of like, yeah, being thankful and just people do things differently than we do, and that's okay.
Right to do it.
Right,
Not
exactly.
the way. Our way is not the. There's so many better ways that we could be doing things that we don't know about because we're stuck here in America.
Yeah.
The craziest thing is how many people here don't have passports.
Oh, dude, I think it's like 40%.
That's like that to me is insane.
Right.
Here's where I'd say, if you want to change your perspective of the world, if you want to change your life, if you want to, you're stuck, you want to figure out what to do, go try.
Just go, dude. You get it's so cheap. You know, we travel for work, right? And this morning I booked a flight to Utah, like maybe a month from now. Okay, the ticket's $450. If you time it right, and you go in the winter, go somewhere warm, you can get you can go to Europe, but it may not be that warm. But you can go to places for the same price abroad if you catch it right. For the same, I mean, that's ridiculous. Domestically, it'll cost me $500 to take a flight, but I can go abroad and spend nothing and enjoy and learn and just travel it's once it opens up your mind of like, dude, this is not the only place. Just go, right? Don't worry, don't have a plan.
So learn a lot about yourself.
Oh God,
what are you capable of? If you're alone,
dude, you got to figure it out.
If we drop you in the middle of the
Google Maps doesn't, even in Western Europe, doesn't even work that well, right? So you go to Paris, just go get out of there, right? Get out of here and just like find yourself, figure out what you want to do. And this is when you're a junior or sophomore?
Yes, junior, the second semester of junior year.
Okay, all right. So good time to be in Europe.
Yeah.
All right. So do you go with anyone else?
Dude, I got so lucky. So one of the reasons I was also inspired to go is because a lot of my friends from childhood were studying abroad at the same time.
Oh gosh.
So my business partner and best friend Dan was in Milan. One of my other best friends, Patrick Etchingham, he was in Spain. Another good friend was in Spain. Another good friend was in. They were all over. Probably 6 of us. And so every week when we were out there, we all met up. We'd all go do different things. I went to class 3 days a week.
Yeah.
I got kicked out of international business class. And I guarantee I'm one of the only people that are actually doing big time international business, going overseas and dealing with Germany and India and China. But I got kicked out of international business. But that was good because that freed me up. That was on a Thursday, and then I got Thursdays off. So every week I'd go somewhere new.
Yeah.
With a friend. Dude, I took 6 people from my childhood, all white people, to fucking Egypt.
Yeah, I just
during a break, dude. It was the most amazing experience to be able to show my best friends my culture and what we were all about.
Dude, Cairo's insane, man.
It's wild.
I think there's probably 20 million people in Cairo. It's insane.
And what I see, and I'm sure you saw it, when you see a little boy on the street who's begging for food, and no shoes on his feet, no, not even his mom around, right? And you see homeless people here. It's your mom and your kid. Okay, if I go to Egypt, there's a kid, 3 years old, picking through garbage.
Right.
That's when you realize, like, man,
Yeah.
we got everything we need.
We got everything we need. Yeah.
It's humbling.
It's oh yeah. So that experience, just getting away and you're hanging with the boys too. It's priceless.
Mm-hmm.
So is there any unlock when you're there, which is like, all right, when I'm going to go, I got to go back. What am I going to do? Do I just keep going back to what I'm doing? I think at this time you're kind of aware that school's maybe not in the best situations. So like, I need to kind of think about things, or where was your head at?
I had no clue, man. I just was kind of going with the flow. While we were in Paris, when I was studying abroad, we took a vacation to Czech Republic. Me, Dan Klein, my CEO, business partner, a gentleman named Eric Key, St. Bider. And we came across Czech Republic, a traditional Czech tea house, right? Dan's super smart. He would travel with Rick Steves books. And so one of the things Rick Steves said was to go to this tea house, and they've got shisha, which in my culture we love hookah.
Right.
And they have the other word for hookah.
Yeah.
And they've got tea. At first, when he's like, we're going to a tea house, I'm like, dude, why don't we go to a bar?
Right.
Why don't we go to a tea house? But he convinced me because he said they got hookah.
Right.
So I'm like, all right, I'll go. So we walk into this tea house. Never had tea. I wasn't a tea drinker. Never drank loose leaf tea. And we had our hookah, and they made us a pot of loose leaf tea. We had two pots. One was like a mint, and one was an herbal tea called Granny's Garden. Tried this damn tea, sipping on my hookah, and it was amazing. It blew truly, like you could, and then you open the lid to see what's inside, and you could see these berries, like real cranberries, real strawberry. I'm like, this is different tea.
Right.
Why are people in America drinking this tea? And I'll tell you what, in 2009, 2010, you're a college kid on campus, you're walking around with a tea.
Right. You're strange. You're strange. You're the guy. You're
not getting into that fraternity.
Right. Yeah. Right.
So tea was just kind of an afterthought.
Mm-hmm.
So when we tried this stuff, first off, we were drinking and smoking and doing all these not healthy things for our body.
Mm-hmm.
This was kind of healthy, and it tasted good. And so that night, I'll never forget it, February 25th, 2009, we walked out of that Prague tea house, and we said, we're going back and we're starting a tea business. So, on my life. And we said, we're going to call it Guarantee, because we're going to guarantee you're going to like it. And so me, Dan, were prancing around the streets of Prague that night, talking about how we were going to start a tea house.
It's one of my favorite cities. Incredible.
It really is.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And so when we came back, that memory kind of stuck. And so when Dan and I were leaving study abroad, he was in Milan, I was in Paris. We had been talking about this idea. He sent me a Facebook fucking paragraph, an essay actually. He's like, dude, I'm about to get home in 2 weeks. You'll be home next week. Are we doing this or not? If we're doing it, we need to spend every waking hour during the summer actually trying to make this happen. Mm-hmm. So we spent some time doing some research. I wasn't sure I wanted to do it, right? Like, I was a little worried because Dan was going to graduate. I wasn't. And so I was already like a semester behind. So if he graduated, we weren't on the same wavelength.
Right.
If he would have graduated and not started to come out, I would have been forced to drop out. And that would not have been
ideal situation.
So I was a little nervous, wasn't ready to do it. Then I got the call that I had to withdraw from the semester. And I'm like, oh shit, now what?
Kind of, a little serendipitous.
Yeah, it
right.
kind of forced me. So that day, I got dumped by my girlfriend. I called Dan. I said, Dan, we're doing it. I'm driving out to Champaign, November 4th, 2009. Driving out to Champaign. I'm staying at your house for a week in your dorm. We're going to figure out if we're doing this or not. They give you so many. One thing I'm so grateful for is the university system here in America.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my goodness.
If you use it.
Right. Even though I dropped out, what the university was able to give me, no chance I would have been able to start the company. So I drive down to Champaign, spend the week there, have some fun and also do some work. And they give you incredible resources for data. Right. And when 21 years old.
Let's go like libraries?
Yeah. I never went to the library in 4 years.
Right.
Now here I am spending a week there after getting kicked out of school.
Right.
And we find out when we're looking through the data that tea had grown 20 straight consecutive years. Since 1990 to 2010, it was every single year growing. And still to this day, there's only been 1 year where it shrank, which was a post-COVID. COVID year, it went so high that it just went below that.
Just reverted a little back to the
yeah. So we're like, dude, this is a great category. Why don't we do this? So we agreed after that time that I'm going to go back to school. I'm going to re-enroll. We're going to take our winter break. I'm re-enrolling. We're going to do entrepreneurship class. We're each going to write a business plan to try and start a tea company. And we wanted to do a tea cafe. That was when Jimmy said, nah. We want to do a tea cafe. So he wrote a business plan at U of I. I wrote a business plan at UIC with my colleague, my school classmates, and with his classmates. And of course, most of the business plans you write when you're in college, it's like you don't do anything with them.
Right.
But we told our teachers and our students that we're actually going to try and do something with this. So we did it, and after the semesters, we combined them. We took the combined business plan and we applied it for a business competition, and we got accepted, which was, I had never been accepted to anything worthy in my life.
Dude, the
Not
feeling,
even fucking
the
feels
feels,
of
man.
basketball.
Right.
You know, like I was always in the B team. Did I make varsity? No, I was on junior varsity.
Right.
So we got accepted into this program, and it was so cool to tell my parents that I did something worthy. And big shout out to Dan for helping me get to that level.
It's real, man. It's real, dude.
I was so,
Yeah. I know how that is, dude.
but I always knew I could be somebody.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it's because of all the friends I had around me.
Yeah.
They always made me feel like I wasn't a loser.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
No, dude. It's hard. Yeah.
Yeah. So we got accepted, and I was so pumped. I quit my job at Chili's, and we drove down to Champaign. And the idea was we had to live there for 3 months. It was in a 3-month intensive business plan competition. And at the time, everyone was trying to start tech social media companies like Groupon or Facebook. It was during that boom.
Yeah.
And we were the only ones that had a product. And so during the summer, we lived together. Shout out to Ben Brunner. He let me live in his dorm for free. And we would go to the farmers markets every Saturday, slinging tea. We had a little office that U of I gave us where Dan was like, we were making sure we would take the bus. We got the iPads. We were one of the first people to ever get iPads with Wi-Fi because we would take the bus and we would just start working. And one thing that I forgot to mention is during the winter break, one of Dan's good friends, Billy Gwynn from St. Viator, his cousin was the founder of the World Tea Expo. And so when we were talking about, hey, what are you doing in post-college, whatever, Dan's like, me and Pat are thinking about starting a tea company. And he's like, you know my cousin, dude. Like, he could help you. And so that was a huge in.
Right.
And then we had the business plan thing that we won. And so we're in Champaign, 3 months in. We're selling like $700-800 of tea on a Saturday.
How are you doing that?
Just like selling cup by cup. We would stay up. We would wake up at like 3 a.m., brew a ton of tea. We rigged a bathroom to have a commercial tea brewer in there. So we took one of the bathrooms. I have to go to Home Depot to rearrange all plumbing so it was connected to a tea brewer.
No way.
Swear to God. And we would brew up, I don't know, probably 15 gallons of tea. And we'd lug it over to the farmer's market. And we'd pack, I've got pictures of us packing bags at like 4 a.m. And we'd sell them for $10 a pop. And so we were making some decent, I don't say decent, but $700 on a weekend.
Yeah.
Our cost of goods when you're selling was $2 cups, $10 bags. Cost of goods was real low.
Right.
And so after the program, they have a pitch competition, and whoever wins gets money, grant money. Shout out to Al Goldstein and Alex Goldstein. They gave $1 million to the university to start this program.
Or who were that?
Al and Alex Goldstein, they're U of I alum. They started, the first company they started was CashNet USA, which is now, I forgot what it turned into. But then Al Goldstein started Avant.
Oh, sure.
And then he started Pangea Equity. He's a GOAT.
Yeah, right.
Chicago business.
Yeah.
And they've been just incredible people to have as supporters. And Alex Goldstein, he was one of our first investors.
Okay.
All through this program. So shout out to them for really getting us started, and so many other, they've done so much for the university. And so we won the competition. Why? We were the only ones that had $1 of revenue. No one else did.
Right.
And they need a $200,000 raise to get engineers to build out this, where we're just like, yo, we just need to buy some packaging, right?
Right.
We want a couple $1,000. We wanted to get custom packaging because we wanted something that looked nice. And so we won the competition. We received $15,000 in grant from the university contingent on our parents matching it. So we had to take our parents out for dinner one night, and we asked them for money. And my dad and Paul Klein, Dan's dad, they looked at each other like, "Look what these kids are doing." And they'd say, "Are you in?" And my dad said, or Paul said, "Yeah." And my dad said, "All right, I'm in." And so they gave us, I think they gave us like 3 sets of $5K a piece, so 15 each of them, and we used that to get our first round of packaging, custom packaging. That was kind of the program that helped us get started. In the middle of that, that's when we met Jimmy John.
Yeah.
And he helped us really frame our vision and our business model.
Well, for those who don't know Jimmy John, which they should, but in his story is legendary, but maybe you can know about that. That's that quick story of who he is, and then why was he involved at all?
Yeah, so Jimmy John's headquarters. First off, Jimmy John was born in Arlington Heights.
Yeah,
super cool. He's an amazing guy. His headquarters in Champaign, Illinois. So at the time, this was 2010. They were in rocket ship mode.
Yeah,
they were really growing quick. I think that they were about 2,000 restaurants at the time.
Stupid,
insane. And Jimmy was part of the program as like a mentor, right? And so we were selected to pitch to Jimmy for investment. We wanted $250,000 for a cafe, and Jimmy, at that, I'll never forget it. We pitched Jimmy. 3 other guys were there. We walk out, 21 years old. Jimmy hands us his card, and he says, "Let's stay in touch." And as you probably know, it's like that happens all the time.
Right. So does he answer? No. Yeah, it's a billionaire.
Right. Who knows what he's going to do? The very next day, 7 a.m., I get a call. It's Jimmy. I'm sleeping, right? There's no way. I mean, the night before, we were out at the bar partying, like, we had a big investor pitch for 21 years old.
Right.
Jimmy John was one of the guys.
Damn.
Yeah, we celebrated that night.
Right.
Jimmy calls, 7 a.m. He leaves me a voicemail. He's like, "Hey, it's Jimmy. Give me a call back. Want to talk." Call him back. I wake up Dan at like 10 a.m. Like, "Yo, dude, John just called. He wants me to call him back."
Right.
Let me wake up real quick because I got a call. I called Jimmy. Jimmy's like, "Hey, I'm on my jet. I'm in New York. I'll be back in Champaign in an hour and a half. Meet me in my office." All right. Gotta go meet Jimmy John in his office.
Right.
We don't know what's gonna happen, right?
Right.
You're gonna, it's as young as you are, you're like, what the heck's, like, is he gonna buy our company?
But you're just not processing anything. Dude, when you're 21, you're just like, you know what? Even when being young, I've gotten back to it. You're much more present. You're just flowing. Jimmy just called. We gotta go to Jimmy's. We gotta go to the office, bro. And I could just imagine. I haven't met Dan yet, but Dan just waking up. So what, dude? Like, what happened?
Just like that,
right?
Dude.
Like, can you imagine having that kind of recant that story at our age of like, yeah, I just pitched a billionaire, and then he just said he's coming home from New York on his jet, and I should get in his office. You would be freaking out. But there, you're just kind of like, what just happened? But you're just in the moment, dude. So I feel that.
It was a very, I'll never forget the moment. There's no Ubers at the time.
Right.
We don't have cars. We used to take the bus to get to the office. So what am I going to do? We go and we knock on our next door neighbor's door. Mm-hmm. We had a couple girls that were studying during the summer. One of them had a car. Danielle Copera, shout out. And she picks us. She had a minivan, and she's like, "I'll drive you guys." And they knew we were just starting a tea company. We're always trying to bring them tea in college. And so she drives us. Katy Perry's California Girls come on. And I will never forget, I told her, "Can you just turn it up?" Yeah, I just need to, and we just start rocking to fucking California Girls on the way to Jimmy's office. We get there, and fast-paced office, humming, buzzing, people all over, very casual but fun. Kind of feels like this a little bit, or bigger. And we go to the front desk. We're like, "Hey, we're here to see Jimmy." We tried our best to look good, but we didn't have nice clothes or nice. You could tell it's like, okay, a bunch of kids are coming to see the CEO. Like, what's going on here?
Right.
They call Jimmy and they page him. They say, hey, some kids are here to see you. Jimmy shows up. Comes in and we kind of look at everybody. Yeah, we are here to see Jimmy. We're not
Right.
not
We're supposed to be here.
We're supposed to be, exactly. And he takes us back into his office. His office is massive.
Right.
I'm talking like probably 3x of all of this. Just his personal office, not his HQ. I was saying for him.
Just for perspective, that is, what is this, 3,000 square feet? So it's probably 12,000 square feet.
It was best. And he's got animal heads all over. He's an elder. So he's got some really beautiful, deer and some of those things. It's an intimidating office. And at the very end is just like this. It's like all this is free, and then he's got this like little look at the back, just like this. I'm here, Dan's here. We start talking to Jimmy, and he's just like, I love what you guys are doing. Out there hustling at the farmer's market. I saw you guys over there. He's like, but your brand sucks. Your logo sucks. Your packaging sucks. And I've opened up 2,000 restaurants, and you guys want to do a cafe. If you do one bad cafe, you're fucked.
Right.
We're like, all right, dude. I'm not.
Yeah. What are you to argue? Right.
Sure. Heard. He's like, why don't you guys sell to other people? Right? It's much lower overhead. You have a great product. Go sell to other people. We'll help you create a brand, and let's do that. He calls in his designer, John Kranak, another huge part of the story of our story and my life personally. And John just sits by us, and Jimmy said, tell John what you guys are trying to do. We explained to him, like, we want this tea brand that's young and vibrant and hip, and there's so many tea snobs out there. The tea category was just not that.
Right.
It wasn't.
You used to think of like tea time. It was Brit.
Yeah.
Right. Like
it was boring. It was
right.
It was almost too foreign to the common. So we wanted something that was more American,
approachable.
That's our mission, because you couldn't get tea at anywhere but like tea shops. And so Jimmy convinced us to try and sell to other people. We had a session with his designer. He said, come back tomorrow. The very next day, we said, okay, we'll come back tomorrow, sure. And Jimmy told us at the time, he's like, I don't want anything. I'm not going to give you money. I'm not going to take anything from you. I want to help you. Wow. For a guy like him to say that and just make it very clear up front. Because you could go back to, God, man, this guy's going to give us some money. So the very next day we come back, and John's got a piece of paper with all these logos. And he's like, which one do you guys like? And we chose the one that you see today, that you still see to this day. That's the logo that he created for us. And then we were looking through our colors, and Jimmy's like, why the hell did you pick those colors? We're like, it's cool, Jim. You don't like them? Like, no. Go to apple.com. We go to apple.com. They're doing the iPod colors at this time. And he's like, what are the top selling iPod colors? Those are our colors. So instead of picking our own random colors, we took he's like, Apple has done billions and billions of dollars of research on what colors people liked. Those are the colors we should use. So we did that. And then Dan and I had this, there was a place during all of this. I took my mother one time to Tivana. So I did run out. I brought a bunch of tea from Europe, brought it back home, started really enjoying tea. But I ran out, and we tried calling the Czech tea house to have them ship us a little bit. And we got lost in translation, and we didn't get any. So I found this shop called Tivana. Right. And I took my mom there, and my mom, she like, I'll buy it, fine. I'll buy you some tea if you really want tea. Because I don't like coffee. I don't like caffeine. Right. I didn't like the Adderall. And so I went to the tea shop, and we spent $100 on tea. They confused the shit out of me. And all the shit I bought, I didn't like. Because they make it so, they intimidate the hell out of you. And so I ended up spending $100. I do not like what I got. And my mom was not very happy. She said, Pat, that's literally the last time I am ever buying you tea again. I said, hurt, Mom, I get it. That makes sense. And no one in their right mind should ever pay $100 for 8 ounces of tea. But Tivana was located in these high foot traffic malls. So the overhead was so high, they had to.
It was a pretty big brand.
It was huge. Starbucks acquired them for, I think, $620 million. So Jimmy helped us with the packaging. So Tivana inspired us to create the packaging. The tea was beautiful, so we wanted to put a window on it, right? So you can see all of the ingredients inside.
Hold on, we gotta pause. We gotta bring in the products.
So Jimmy's team helped us create the logo. They wanted it to be, as I said, kind of something vibrant, mainstream, really approachable. But Dan and I always had this vision for the windows and the freshness glass. And that was inspired by Tivana because it had these big jars where they put the tea to keep it fresh. So we wanted the clasp to do that. Then the other thing was the teas looked beautiful. And so we wanted to put windows on them. So with the grant money that we got from the university, we purchased these tins. We're the first tea company in the history of the United States to use windows on their packaging. Why? Because most of the tea out there was dust.
Yeah.
You don't want to show people what it looks like.
Right, of course.
Whereas this, like, you know, there's real cherries in here. But this is a real cherry. It's a real dried cherry, right? And so we want people to see that. This is a real hibiscus. It's not a piece of dust hibiscus. It's the real whole ingredient.
Yeah.
It's what they call whole foods, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to put this back.
That's okay. We put it over there.
And so we really wanted to showcase the ingredients. And then, as I mentioned, we picked these colors because they were the top selling colors on Apple's iPod. So Jimmy kind of helps us develop our brand, helps us develop our what I'll call business model that sets us free. It's like, go start selling. We got our packaging and we just start going. And we got our first customer, one of Dan's frat brothers. His mom had an olive oil shop. And so she said, I'd love to bring your products. So we sold them. We stayed up late one night, got a case of beer, got a pizza, called our buddies, and we're like, yo, can you guys help us pack some tea? We got an order. And we got into I think 4 stores in it's like August or September of 2010. And then, yeah, that was kind of the start of it.
Dude, here's what you're an incredible salesman because the story and the recanting of the dates and the people, and that's a thing that now as also a salesperson, the art of hustle, you got to just figure out a way to say, hey, if I've got a great product and service, I need to get it in people's hands or I need to serve them. And whatever I need to do, and these are years of relationships that, again, plus side of being in Chicago, that people trust you. Everybody wants to help each other out. You use any person in your network from, I think you said whatever that convention was where the guy who went to Vider and the cousin whose dad runs
Yeah.
And just using hey dude, we got to figure out any way that we can use any opportunity, you seize the day, right? So you get 4 shops in that first, year or a couple months, and it was basically just mom and pop shops at that moment, right? That was the customer.
Yeah, and at that point we're like, okay, it was just me and Dan. We were living in Champaign, and we were using, we were using our current COO's dorm as a warehouse. We stored all our tea in there. He came back from summer break and he came back to his room. He's like, what the hell are you guys doing with my room? And then he ended up starting to help us pack the tea, and then he became our COO. And so he still had a semester left at school, but me and Dan wanted to go and start the company. So I dropped out, Dan graduated, and we wanted to just go sell tea.
Right.
So we moved to Chicago. Alex, who was our second employee and our current COO and VP of e-commerce, he's the man. He stayed back in Champaign, worked for free, and just would ship orders for us. And it wasn't like a ton, but he ran a little facility in Riker. He just did a donation to the University of Illinois. He gave us free warehouse space because we couldn't store all the tea in Alex's dorm. And we got when we got these tins, like they're massive, you got to order from overseas. So you need somewhere to store pallets. And so Nate let us use his facility for free. Alex ran it. Dan and I went back to Chicago with Bobby Moynihan. He was our designer, creative. He helped us with like the look of everything after Jimmy John kind of set us free.
Mm-hmm.
And we all lived together in Wrigley. And we had one other guy from U of I who lived with us, Conrad Sadkowski. His brother's now my bookkeeper. And we lived in Wrigley, and we would just go door to door. So we didn't have money to pay rent. We would literally look at, okay, how much money is in the bank from the orders, and depending on how much we need, I would go out and sell. So Dan would hit me up. He's, January 15th, we only got $900 in the bank. We need $1,400 for rent. You got 10 days.
Gotta go get $500.
$500. And we would the company paid for all of our rent, and we would each get like $200 a week for living, right? Go out to the bars and, but at that time you don't know, like you're just happy to.
Right. You're living the dream.
Yeah, I didn't really care about eating around and not making money.
Dude, you're building with your best friend.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And so we would go, Dan would organize everything. I'd go door to door. I'd go door to door Chicago, then I'm driving to Arlington Heights, then I'm driving Madison, then I'm all over the place just trying.
And the customer is still these mom and pop shops that don't have tea, where you're like, hey, I think you could sell this product. What was the, what I mean?
It's a great question, Steven, and it's probably one that it's the cliche parts of this is we didn't know who our customer was. So the problem with tea is you can sell it to any place that has a door and a register, even an office, right? A doctor's office here, this place.
But what was the model? Because did you have to front the product and then be like, hey, we'll give you the whole cost? Did they have to pay up front?
They pay up front.
Okay.
They pay up front. Okay. And that would kind of fuel our helmet.
Yeah, working capital.
And there was one time where we couldn't pay rent. We had to call the landlord. He knew we were starting a tea company. He was very kind to us. He didn't kick us out when we, I think we were at one point 9 or 10 days late on rent. And I'd be pretty nervous if I were him.
Yeah.
Tom Chesson, but he let us keep going, and we got, I think, to like 50 stores, and then we got to a point where I think we were doing $2,000 a month in revenues.
Right.
We couldn't pay anyone, couldn't pay anything. Alex was about to leave Champaign to move to Chicago with us,
right?
And he needed some money, right? And then same with Bobby. And so two of our investors at the time, and still to this day, and they're our big advisors, Alex Goldstein and Mark Freegan, they sat us down and they looked at our business and like, okay, how did you get these customers? The only way you got these customers, like go door to door. They're like, okay, what do you want us to do? Like, go door to door, more. Like, all right, well, we already did everything over here. Like, what do you want me to do? Like, what about New York? What about Philly? You've been to Seattle? Like, dude, come on, man. Like, so we hopped on a plane, went up to New York, and we set out to do a door-to-door trip, 500 doors, 25 days. And we did it.
500 doors?
500 doors in 25 days. I have pictures of Dan holding samples on the street corners in New York. Scared, walking into the place and checking to make sure.
New York, they're like, get the fuck out of that place.
I've never felt so.
But
But I'll tell you what happened, Steven. During that trip, we learned who our customer was, right? Because our customer at that point, like I said, anyone who had a door and register, whether it was a spa, a fitness center, we would go anywhere. But we learned on that trip, the places that were ordering the most, that would pay us up front, were grocery stores. Because we were solving a small problem for them. They didn't have loose leaf tea.
Mm-hmm.
They had every other tea, but they didn't have loose leaf tea. So we learned that on that trip. One time on that trip, we ran out of money. We had to split we had $9. One of our suppliers ran our card and took all of our cash. So we had $9 with us. And we went to we were in Philly. We went to one of those famous cheesesteak places. I think you know the pads. Yeah. We split a Philly and a Coke. On the very next morning, I had to call Mom. I'll say, Mom, you told me I shouldn't do this. And you said if I drop out of college, you're not going to help me.
Right.
But
I need some fish.
I got to eat, right? And I'll tell you what, Steven, such a blessing to have that safety net. From my parents, and not everyone has that back. But I told Dan, I said, when my mom gives us this money, I said, we are not paying this back. I'm not going to live over this for the rest of my life. My mom gave me money, which she told me not to do something, and I was wrong. She gave us $1,000, made it out to Seattle, Portland, did the trip, paid her back, doubled sales the next month, and then quadrupled them the month after that. and really identified that grocery was where we need to focus.
No, that's not an easy sale though, because now these are smaller grocery shops, and how do you get to the decision maker? Is it
You
is
just
it the procurement? Like I don't know the business,
we
so
would go in there, we drop off samples, we'd pull a business card. Usually these mom and pop shops have like the owner's business cards there, or we'd ask somebody who's in touch, who do we get in touch with, and we would just take notes. And then when we get back to our hotel, we were staying at a buddy's house actually in Harlem. When we get back to his house, Paul Jorgensen, we'd get back to his house, we would do the follow-ups. And so we would do that every single day. And, eventually you get a couple that, I think at the end of the day, a lot of people want to do good when they see somebody hustling.
of course, dude. I feel 1,000%. This isn't about me, but it's an anecdote because I think it's important. Entrepreneurship is hard. 3 years ago, at this point now, it would have been 3.5 years ago, it was January before starting Rowan, and I had the idea, and I was like, dude, I think there's an opportunity here. I call we won't name him, but he was our first angel check with a buddy I know. And he's like, I believe in you. I don't know how you guys are doing. I don't know what you're doing because I was alone, and this is before I met Chris. But it's just like people will bet on good people that they know, hey, at the least I can help them achieve their dreams. And that's all that matters, and you never forget those people.
No, you don't.
You really don't. People just like betting on people. That's the great thing about humans is like, I don't know what you're trying to do. It sounds a little crazy, but like, I'd rather try to help you get to where you want to go because it feels good with no expectation that they're going to get their money back.
Yeah.
Like they're not doing it because it's a return, right? They're doing it, especially the ones that are angel family and friends are just like, Pat, I know you, I trust you, and I know you're going to work your ass up. It may not work out. A lot of businesses don't, but there's nothing better than
you could feel comfortable with that bet. That's it's going to the right person.
There's not a better feeling when, especially it's different with investors, but when you have family and friends, who, whether it's money or their time, what is his name, Bobby, Alex?
Bobby and Alex, they were the first two.
No money, right?
Nothing.
You guys are great, right? But
nothing there.
But like, it's easy to just say, dude, I gotta eat, man. I just went to UVI, man. It's a great school. I gotta go get a job. But I believe in what we're doing, and I believe in you guys, and that's just you. It's priceless, Gets me emotional too because, again, story for a different time. But 3 summers ago, I don't know if I told you when I started Rowan. At the time, it was called Boom, and I had met Chris on Twitter. Right, we were going back and forth, and I was like, "Hey, I'm renting a place in the West Loop for a month. I got my family. We'll go play golf, and get to know each other a little bit more." Spent a couple times with him, and we met at Merchandise Mart, right over here, right? And it's a Sunday. There's nobody in the place, and we met. There's no even shops any open, so we meet there. And before he tells me, Steve, like, you live in Germany, dude. Like, this is a relationship business. Like, it ain't gonna work. And I think you're a little crazy. Before he could say that, I pitched him. I'm like, bro, I've told my wife that I am going to move to Florida. And in order for this business to work, I will up and move away from my fucking kids and my wife, God bless her soul, to start this business with you. And it's that, you know what I mean?
That story is insane, by the way. It really is.
I am insane. I mean, I got plenty of stories of how I met my wife. It was just, but you know what? We have one life, and you gotta go. You gotta bet everything to live a great life. And that's why I love entrepreneurship. I love people who, dude, I've made plenty of angel investments. None of them worked out, but I love betting on people, and because it's just, there's nothing better, right? We can't go shoot up rockets up in space if we don't just, damn it, why don't we try?
Exactly.
What are we doing? Why do I want to go work for someone? And, work for some corporate thing, or like, let's just go for it, So I love it, man.
And I'll tell you what about you and Chris. First off, he's a great guy, and it was really impressive to see what I say is like the camaraderie you guys had when we met. You guys, it reminded me a lot of Dan and myself, but we've known each other since we were freaking 5 years old.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you guys did to forge that relationship.
Serendipity, man.
Impressive, and it feels like when I met you guys, I felt like you guys knew each other for years. Then you told me that story. I'm like, this guy.
I'm nuts, dude. I'm insane.
But that's when I said I want to do more with this guy.
I'm insane. Yeah,
I love it though. I love that.
But we all are, right? The story that we're talking about right now, starting Tiesta Tea, it's insane. You can't go to someone logical and be like, all right, this is what's gonna happen. No, you just fucking figure it out because you believe in what you're doing so much that there's this, I don't know if it's a quote, but in the Steve Jobs book by Walter Isaacson, he goes, he had this thing called distorted reality. You believe something to be true so much so that it just becomes true, right? Like, Steve, you're going to go sell companies. What the fuck do you know? I'm going to, and I'm going to find a partner who can, but it's because I believe entrepreneurs get paid to solve problems. And they see a gap in a market where there is something that is not here, or there is a problem, and I can solve it, and I get paid for it.
And there's vision with that.
That's loose leaf tea. There is a market that's growing, high level tea. There is a category of tea that is not in America and is not being positioned or sold in a way that is approachable and accessible for the masses. I'm going to be that guy. And some things are always hanging in plain sight, right? But if you do the work, we did the research, we saw the gap, we're going to provide a great product. People are going to buy it, right? And people buy from good people. Not everyone in business is good, but good people that fucking grind their ass off and objectively can solve problems and provide a good product or service, someone will absolutely buy.
Yes. And you said something that you'll never forget those people. I think the beauty of entrepreneurship is it's like this cycle that always gives. Mm-hmm. When I'm thinking about these mom pops, a lot of them are entrepreneurs.
Oh, yeah.
Right? They started their shop. They wanted to do something different.
Yeah. I'm going to open an olive oil retail shop. Yeah, well, why don't I go to the grocery store? But why? No, I want to do it, right?
And so they see what we're doing. Exactly. It's like we had one guy, his name was Laszlo Martone. He ran a garlic.
Great name.
Great name. He ran a garlic. He sold garlic and spices in Galena. And he's like, I'll take every flavor. We met him at a diner in Chicago at Southport Grocery or something like that. We were first year. He was one of our first 10 customers. And he's an immigrant from, I'm not sure which country, but he came here and started a garlic company. He's, I'm going to take every single one of your flavors. Wrote us a check for $1,500 on the spot. Month's rent was paid, right? And like to get that check from this guy who's like, it wasn't like, what's your price? No, it's like, I'll take all your flavors, send them to my address, how much it costs, here's your check. And that's the entrepreneurship, giving back. Yep. And that's Al Goldstein and Alex Goldstein and Mark, all these guys who give back to entrepreneurs. And then we're going to do the same to help to the people below us. And it's just going to keep going.
Well, let's talk about a little bit how you ramp up. So this is, 2013, 14, 15. You start to grow store by store, brick by brick. At what point does it start to like accelerate? And also, where are you getting your product, right? I mean, I know, but
It started accelerating in 2013.
Okay.
When we identified that grocery was the biggest problem.
Right, that's the unlock.
So then we started in 2012 is when we started going to the bigger grocery stores. And they would pick us up. Like Mariano's took us. They gave us 2 full shelves.
That story is great, by the way. It's a Chicago story.
Yeah, it was a Chicago story. We played the student card. We called this the HQ. They were like, yo, we're a bunch of students. We're starting a tea company. We just want to learn what it would take to do business with someone like you. She's like, come on in.
Do zero shit. This is what you got to do. That's why I tell people, like, they're trying to start a business or something, and they're all playing, and I'm like, go talk to a customer, just go do. Hey, we're just trying to learn. Get your way in there, right?
They had 1 store at the time.
Yeah.
and they were opening their second, and we did a full demo. She didn't know we were coming in to pitch. We give Donna Gay, we give her a full demo, and she tried our teas. She's like, holy smokes. She's like, I'll give you guys 2 full shelves. And so then we're like, okay, now we're in the big grocery, because they're owned by a big, large grocer, Roundy's, and now Kroger.
Yeah.
And so that kind of set us up. And then Chicagoland, Mariano's was the grocery darling.
It was. It put Dominic's out of business. I mean, I'm not going to get into the story, but it was a great store.
A lot of weird politics.
Yeah.
So then Jewel and some of the others started noticing, like, okay, Mariano's has got it.
Tell me how to do it.
And so we started manifesting around here, and then we got picked up by a large distributor because we were shipping direct. My first 2 employees, well, after Bobby and Alex, my next 2 were my brother and the varsity quarterback from Wheeling High School. His name is Chris Antal, and Richard's my brother. They were just driving deliveries to Mariano's, $10 an hour. $10 an hour. Hey, they dropped out of college.
They were doing the original Uber.
They did the original Uber. And they're going to Mariano's, stocking shelves for $10 an hour, because Mariano started opening all these stores.
Right. They went on a rampage.
Yeah, the next thing you know, they got 20 stores, and they've got the presence of 2 full shelves.
Yeah.
And so me, my brother, Dan, and Chris were going out doing deliveries.
They were the first ones that I remember that basically innovated the grocery model of like when you go to the grocery store, there are different parts sections, or they'll bring in a Stan's Donuts into the grocery store, or a sushi spot. No one was doing
grill
that.
Your steak if you wanted it.
Yeah, no one was doing that back then. I'm pretty sure Whole Foods copied that model, but like, I mean, Mariano's, I don't know how big it is now, but like that was very innovative for the old school. Like the experience sucked.
Yes.
You go there, you don't know where the hell you're going. Now it's like, it's almost like
you
a
grab
lot of
beer and go shopping.
Right, exactly. It was incredible. So you start to get all this momentum around the grocery stores, and then you get the distributor. And this is what, 2015 now, something like that. And
2012 was Mariano's.
Yeah.
2013 was distributor. Then 2014, 15, 16 was like mass grocery. So then we start getting into Target, Meijer, Jewel, Safeway, Hy-Vee, Publix. Like we came.
How did you feed the demand though? Right. So like, where was the product at the time? Where were you getting the product?
The product was actually being sourced to the U.S. We were sourcing domestically.
Okay.
We were big enough. We didn't have the
volume. You didn't have the volume. But then now you get all this demand. And you're like, shit, I gotta get the supply. So, and I gotta drive my cost down. Right. So like, what was it?
Funny story. We got so much demand for a huge holiday order it was for Office Depot, believe it or not. They wanted to do a thank you gift with like at their checkout stands.
Okay.
Like it was like a $10 thank you gift. And it was a massive order. It was so big that our suppliers couldn't fill it. And so we're like, listen, we got to figure out what to do. And so God bless them, they got us in touch with their suppliers. They're like, okay, we're going to have to do the right thing, which is, you guys, it's time for you guys to go to the source. You're too big now.
Right.
And so that's when we started going direct overseas. It was 2015. We went out to Germany.
Shout out to Deutschland.
Deutschland, Hamburg, Germany. We're there all the time. We went out to Nigeria. We've been out to China, Japan, Sri Lanka, all these different countries, Thailand, just seeing the origins and meeting the suppliers. And so we started going direct, and what that allowed us to do was not only increase the volume we could handle, decrease the cost.
Yeah.
And our service level was much better because we controlled the entire supply chain.
Yeah.
And so, we went overseas and just started going. And then that's when I'd say I made one of the worst mistakes of my life, which was pivoting into a different category. Stupid.
And this is when?
This was in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everybody tells entrepreneurs, focus.
Yeah, I know.
And it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard.
It's always a shiny ball.
And we get an email from Target on Christmas. Never forget this. I'm with my mom. And Target, the buyer, he's like, hey, love your brand, love your product. I want to put you guys in a bottle. I want to put these flavors like blueberry and Maui's. I want to put that in the bottle. I want to put it in my coolers. We're like, dude, fuck yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Target gives you the call. You got it.
And so they were like, let's talk. So Target flew out to Chicago met us in our facility. We did a bunch of R&D to pick the flavors. It was we did the project.
Right.
Gave them exclusivity for the first 6 months because they were giving us all their stores.
Yeah.
The first launch, if you will. It was awesome. Yeah, we turned that into it was a big business. We got into all Targets, all Kroger's, big business, but it wasn't very profitable. And then what happened is I left my baby behind. I wasn't giving her enough TLC. And she was just kind of like sitting there, feeding everybody and not getting any attention. And this other business was stealing all of our resources.
And time.
And then there was this thing called COVID that hit. Our costs skyrocketed, shipping skyrocketed, and cost of glass we were shipping glass in liquid. It's massive, it's so expensive. The Suez Canal got blocked. Shipping containers started going from, I think it was like 4,000 a container to 20 or 25,000.
Jeez.
Container pricing.
Right.
Our margins were already not great when we did the last. Every entrepreneur said, "Oh, we're going to get volume and you're going to increase your margins."
I mean, the margins are always thin.
Loose leaf, the margins are great, but novelty, they weren't. And you got Coke and Pepsi that are in the stores just every day dominating you.
Yeah.
And so we did that business for a long time, 3 years, around 2018 to 2021. Then when COVID hit, we actually at one point we didn't get any orders for 6 months from Kroger or Target because they were only putting essential items on their shelves. Probably cheese, dairy, eggs, all that. So they had no shelf space. And we couldn't argue with that, right? It's a worldwide crisis.
Yeah, it's the marriage
about it.
Right.
Yes, and so we had to spoil a lot of inventory because it expired.
Right.
And that was the final straw that broke the camel's back. We had to have a call with our buyer and we said, hey, we're going to have to discontinue this item. And that was in 2021. So all of 2022, early 2023, I had to put out these fires. I had hundreds of thousands of dollars of glass bottles. I'm just trying to, because if you can't throw out 100,000 glass bottles, where are you going to put it? You get fined.
Yeah.
Truly. So you have to pay somebody to come pick it up and destroy it.
Yep.
When you've already lost a ton of money. So I was selling it for like 5 cents on the dollar. Selling it to anyone who'd take it. And that was what I did for a year. Truly. Me and my sales guy, Sean Litza, for a whole year, we would sit there and sell nothing. And we didn't sell any of this. And then in 2013,
23.
2023, we were done with that business, and it was time for us to focus on the loose leaf when we saw a big opportunity because after COVID, people were at home more. And this is a product that's consumed at home.
Yeah.
So we started seeing a lot of nice sales from this, and it was growing. So we started putting all our resources into this, and it's been extremely rewarding and pretty successful.
Yeah. What a fucking story, bro. It's great, man. So where we're at today, how many employees we have?
It's like 35 or 40.
Yep. And where do we want to go? You just moved into a facility, right? So, and what did that allow you to do? Because you explain maybe a little bit about in the facility. Are you just doing the co-man stuff? But maybe just explain like what in the facility you're doing. I haven't been out there.
We're importing,
right?
We're distributing, and we're co-packing.
Co-packing too, right?
And then we had an office.
Yep.
So
how many square feet is it?
44,000.
Yeah, that's great.
44,000, and the first one was 23. And the big problem was people were running into each other. No space.
Yeah.
And the inventory was turning so quickly that you need more room to hold more inventory.
Yeah. Right.
I believe we're one of the largest importers of hibiscus in all of the United States. I want to say we did like 1,000 tons last year. It's pretty wild.
Yeah. It's very wild.
It's cool.
Dude, I think that's a good place to kind of stop. But before I let you go, what do you think, being so young still, like, you guys started this when you were fucking kids, Yeah. But what can it look like moving forward? And you're still working with family. And I think part of small business, the best part about it is, and also tough, is you work with family and friends because those are the only crazy ones that love you and are willing to take a, flyer. Most people are just, it's too risky, you know? So like what's the future for you? Do you do anything else on the side or
I'm always that.
You're a
During
hustler.
this time, there was a couple of points where I couldn't pay myself, so I had to find some alternative sources of income just in case.
Right.
When you're losing, we lost. I don't want to say how much. We lost a lot of money a year, a million-ish, because of the RTD.
Right.
It's like you're worried, man.
Yeah.
Sure you can eat. So when you don't get paid like that, or I went for a couple months, without getting paid, credit cards started building up, and so I had to start a couple just side things to supplement.
Feed the meter.
Feed the meter.
Exactly right, dude. I mean, it's I would say that, some people are like, well, entrepreneurship. I would say to most, everyone can skill wise do it, but emotionally, there's only so many that are built for it. Because as smart as you are, and it doesn't matter when, the Mike Tyson quote, when you get hit in the mouth, dude, emotionally, most people just can't get through to the other side. It's hard. So, and I always say, ideally, don't do something by yourself. Start with a partner because you're both. There's not many people. It's a lonely world. It's a lonely world because people just don't understand, right? And I know you're expecting your first, but I would say that's the only other job that's probably harder than business is just kids. But it is something that it's really hard. But emotionally, you got to be a little bit of a psycho. Which
I think 100%. And there's a couple things. Just if you want to weave these in, you got to be a real psycho.
Yep.
But it's super helpful to be a psycho when you have someone being a psycho with you.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Right. So we took out a pred loan.
Oh, wow.
Personally guaranteed our houses.
Yeah, that was
my wife wouldn't sign. And so we were in default the day we signed it. Oh, and I called the owner. I'm like, listen, my wife's not feeling it. He was such a nice guy. He wasn't a real pred, but the reason why is because the line of credit got pulled because we were losing so much money. So someone pulled their line of credit. So all of our receivables were going to pay off this $500,000 line of credit. And Dan, and Dan told me, he's the numbers guy. He's much smarter than I am. He had kids at the time, and it still does. He had kids, and when he said, I'm willing to do it, I said, if you're going that cycle with your 2 kids, I'll match you. And so we took out that pred loan, and one of the reasons why is because we could see ourselves getting to profitability. Mm-hmm. We were like slowly inching there, and our repeat customer rate was through the roof. It's like 40-some%, 42-ish. And so when you start seeing that, you're like, okay,
people like the product. Yeah, people like the product.
Some people that have ordered 25 times.
Right.
We've had customers for 10 plus years.
Right.
And so we did that knowing that we could get into profitability and then refinance.
Yep.
Got there. We did that. And now we're EBITDA profitable.
We got the rest of the history. Well, where can everyone go? Get the product.
TiestaTea.com, Amazon.com, Fresh Time. You can go to Walmart. You can go to H-E-B, if you're in Chicagoland, go to Pete's Fresh Market, Jewel, Mariano's. You should be able to find it. As we say, once you go loose, you never go back.
I like it. Dude, it's been a pleasure, man.
Congrats on you too, man. I appreciate what you're doing.
I appreciate it. Thank you. All right.